Hope everybody's doing okay. I'm here to give my initial impressions of Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition just released. And just to let you in on a bit of history, I played this game back in the day when it came out here in the UK, December 2015, and I'm a huge Xenoblade Chronicles fan in general. I play the games every year, but I mostly play like Xenoblade Chronicles X maybe every couple of years. I don't play it as much as I used to, but I have a lot of history with the original version of the game that released on Wii U, and I'm going to let you in on some things that I like about this remastered version of the game so far. Now, there is a couple of things I want to make clear about Xenoblade Chronicles X before anybody is actually thinking about picking this game up, right? Xenoblade Chronicles X is pretty different from the rest of the games in the series. There'll be a lot of people that have played Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, and 3, and maybe not even remotely touched X because it's a game that came out in the Wii U. And it was actually the second game in the Xenoblade Chronicles series. It's quite different. It's not really a story-heavy focused game. The rest of the series does have a lot of deep story elements with the characters that you can sink your teeth into, and I'm here to tell you that Xenoblade Chronicles X is not that type of game. You know, like, the characters are not really going to grab you in the same way that the characters did in the other Xenoblade Chronicles games, and I'm just here to make that clear. There will be some fans of the Xenoblade Chronicles series that might find that offensive, like what I'm saying, but I am definitely one of those people that do believe that is the case with Xenoblade Chronicles X, but what it lacks in story, it makes up in other areas entirely. Now, it's not like the game does not have any deep lore involved. A lot of the lore of the game is actually hidden within the side quests, you know? And unfortunately, a lot of those side quests are not like voice acted or anything, so you will be reading a lot of text to find out the lore of the world. And, you know, depending on what kind of player you are, you might not find that actually as interesting, so I'm just here to make that clear. It's not a story in-your-face heavy game, Xenoblade Chronicles X. It's an exploration game with amazing combat and loads of sights to see. You gotta know what you're getting yourself in for Xenoblade Chronicles X, so I kinda just wanted to make that clear to people. Now, I've not seen the new story elements that Xenoblade Chronicles X has added in the Definitive Edition, because as far as I'm aware, that happens at later chapters in the story, and who knows, it might actually change that perspective of the game as time goes on. But from what I've seen so far, it is very much the same game in terms of story. So far, I've been absolutely loving my time with Xenoblade Chronicles X again. You know, I just find myself falling into the usual stuff I do when I'm doing a repeat playthrough of this game, and I think a good way of actually summing up Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition for people like me that still play it on a somewhat regular basis, I think people like us would call it Xenoblade Chronicles X Quality of Life Edition, with the amount of changes that they've made into the game that just makes it overall easier to play and easier to navigate as a whole. And I'll go over some of the changes that I like about it so far. My favourite thing about the Definitive Edition so far is honestly just being able to play the game with a normal controller, not having to have the gamepad with us at all times to view the map. If you played the Wii U version back in the day, you basically had to play it with the gamepad because that was the only way of actually viewing the map screen in order to fast travel about the world with the Frontier nav. And here, I just love that it's all at the touch of a button, just brung up like a normal map, and you can like fast travel wherever you want, where you've visited, and it just feels like it always should have been this way, you know? Do I think the Wii U version of the map still looks a bit cleaner than this new version? I would probably say so. There's some changes that are not as perfect as the old game. I think like the map looks better on the Wii U gamepad than it does here, but maybe that's just what we had to deal with in order for it to be implemented over. And I will say, there's a little bit of menu lag inherent with this game, just a bit. It's nothing like crazy, but it is there, and I feel like maybe that's a problem. I don't know if they can rectify that in an update or anything, but you know, a lot of menus these days are getting some inherent lag, and it feels like there's a little bit here in Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, but nonetheless, I like being able to bring up the map at the touch of a button, and it is my favourite thing about the game as a whole, as well as just being able to play with a normal controller. The quality of life adjustment with that in general is just perfect as far as I'm concerned, and it's the best way to play Xenoblade Chronicles X. They've also gave the menu an overall redesign. It's a lot more clearer. A big complaint back in the day was that the actual text was a lot smaller on the Wii U version for whatever reason, and it was very small, hard to read some stuff. The text is a lot bigger in this version of the game, and I feel like the UI is just done better, like navigating your art art screens and skill screens is a lot more easier to do than it was in the original game. So they've made some nice changes there. And there is a couple of other changes to the game that I've noticed so far. Back in the original version, when you're navigating the world, you can go around and grab treasures, and basically you need to get like a certain level of that up in order to get all the treasures in the world. Mechanical resources, things like that, archaeological, and you had to like choose what one you wanted to level up throughout the game. And as far as I can see, that's actually not here anymore, because there's not like a level indicator of those skills on the menu anymore. I've not been prompted with, oh, you don't have level 4 mechanical skill in order to grab this treasure that I went off to try and go find. So it seems like they've got rid of that. Now, I do think you still need to get the other skills like archaeological, for instance, because there is some treasures that I've not been able to grab because I don't have the archaeological skill yet. But it feels like to me that you're just needing one version of the skill in order to go around and grab all the treasures. At least that's what it seems to me so far, because I guarantee if I was playing the old game, I would have ran into treasures by now that were requiring level 3 mechanical, level 4, and that's not happened in this remaster. So they've changed something regarding that, and like I say, another quality of life added to the game as far as I'm concerned. One thing I really like as well about this game so far is when you actually grab your fetch quests from the main terminal. Now, you don't have to do all these fetch quests, they're just there as an extra bonus for rewards for yourself. But it's a good way of getting XP and everything like that, and battle points. But the way it works is, you used to like not really have any indicator on where to get the materials required in the old game. You kind of had to like Google it or just go around and randomly find it. It was tough going. And in this game here though, whenever you grab any of these missions that require certain materials, it just gets automatically added to the map, and you can just go to the map and you can see where it's needed in order to go and find it. And you know, I think that is a good thing all in all, because at the end of the day, people would just Google where to find one of these materials at what certain point in the map. So I think it's better that they've just added like markers on the map for people to go to and find and get these quests done if they want to get them done. Now, the last thing I'm really surprised with this game is I was 100% certain that they were going to censor some of the outfits in this game. And I can gladly see that so far, out of all the old outfits, none of the bikinis have been like nerfed and stuff like that. The swimwear that you want to like wear that's in Xenoblade Chronicles X is here in all of its glory. So I don't think they've censored any of the other ones that are going to appear later on either, because really you cannot get any more revealing than the ones I'm showing here. And I gotta say, I'm pretty happy, because it's not like I didn't want them to be in the game. I thought they would change them with how the world is in this day and age. Everybody like white knighting on the internet. But I'm glad to see that Monolith Soft and Nintendo have left it all in, because really it's not offending anybody. It's just a costume, it's just swimwear and stuff, and I'm glad they've not altered it. See, Elma's happy. Guys, there's too much to talk about with Xenoblade X. I can't honestly sit here and talk about everything. I just wanted to go over some of the changes that I absolutely love so far about the definitive edition of the game. Now, I think if you're thinking about picking this game up, then you deserve to not be spoiled on everything that's in the game. Try and find it for yourself. If you want an amazing world to explore, that honestly, in my opinion, is one of the best open world games I've ever played, then look no further than Xenoblade Chronicles X. I'm serious. I've played a lot of games after it, and I don't feel like a lot of games have even beaten this game in terms of exploration, and I actually feel like a lot of games have tried to copy it, which is fair. But also, as far as combat is concerned, I love everything about the combat, the classes, and I think people deserve to find all this stuff out for themselves and enjoy it. If you're after an open world game like this, look no further than Xenoblade X. Like I said earlier though, it's not the deepest in terms of story, like the other Xenoblade Chronicles games, but the lore is there if you want to find it in the side quests. And obviously we don't know exactly what they've changed about the story in the end parts of the game. We're going to have to play and see for ourselves. If I had to like name one thing about the game that I actually dislike so far, I'll be brutally honest right now, and I'm going to say that the art style change of the character models, I don't think it's as good as the original game. I preferred the way Elma looked in the original, and I prefer the way all the characters looked in the original version of the game. So the art style change of the character models doesn't suit me perfectly. I think I preferred the old school version of the game. So I still think there's an aspect about the original game that could be better for some of us that have played the old one, but for new players, they're obviously not going to care so much. But yeah, I just thought I would put that in there. I'd love to hear people's opinions on that. Do you feel the same as me about the character models and the art style change? You know, it doesn't ruin the game for me at all, or anything like that. I'm just saying I prefer the way they looked in the original game. Now, another thing I have to tack on to the end though, it's not the game's fault, but I'll tell you this right now, when this game was announced, I was almost certain it was going to be a Switch 2 launch title or something like that. And, you know, I guess it's a little bit disappointing that we're still playing it on the original Switch. It's still 30 FPS, it's still not got the best resolution, and, you know, for a game as big and open world and as deep as what Xenoblade Chronicles X is, for me it deserves better resolution and 60 FPS. And I really hope that when the Switch 2 comes out, if we're going to get upgrades, I just pray to Nintendo that they're actually going to give us an upgrade for this game, because honestly, playing this game in 60 FPS would be amazing with how good the combat is and the exploration of the world. Like I say, it's not the game's fault, it's more like a Nintendo's fault thing, but I hope you guys are with me with that, and I hope we can get an updated patch for the game when the Switch 2 actually releases. Nonetheless, guys, I would love to hear what people think about Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. If you've actually picked it up, let me know what yous are loving about the changes to the game so far. I'd love to hear. Take it easy, and I'll catch yous in the next one.